Builders, I'm Mrs. Morta. Do you remember our sneaky sound in English called the schwa sound? Say this word with me, schwa. The last time we were together, we learned that the schwa sound usually sounds like this, like the short vowel U. It's a sound that you make when you're thinking really hard about something. Say that with me. Well, today you're going to see how this sneaky schwa sound sometimes sounds a little bit like the I sound too, like the short vowel I. We're going to practice reading and listening for the schwa sound in words spelled with the A-T-E pattern. It's important that we're able to read words using the schwa sound, especially if we're going to read words that are more than one syllable. That way, we'll be able to read our favorite books. Let's be really great readers and listeners as we investigate these schwa sound words. We're going to start with this word. Let's read this word together. We're going to loop and swoop this word. Here we go. When we read this word, before we start, when we read this, we're going to say the long vowel A sound here. 8. And if that does not sound like a real word, I'll tell you what to do. Here we go. Ultimate. 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 Give me a thumbs up if that sounds like a word that you know, and a thumbs down if that does not sound like a word that you know. For me, this one's a thumbs down. When I read A-T-E with the long A sound, 8, that didn't sound like a real word. Let's try it again, and this time let's use the schwa sound here for the letter A and make it sound more like I. Try again. Ultimate. Ultimate. Thumbs up if that sounds like a real word. Thumbs down if that does not sound like a real word. That does sound like a word that I know, so we're going to move that to the schwa sound column. Why? Because the A doesn't make the sound we expect it to make. It doesn't say the long A. So we'll put it in the schwa column. Let's try a different word. Let's stretch and read this word together. Late. Late. Give me a thumbs up if late sounds like a word you know, and a thumbs down if it does not sound like a word that you know. I think that that sounds like a word that I know. Late, like I don't want to be late for school. We need to be on time. When we use the long A, we made a real word. So we're going to put this in the long A column because the long A is the sound that we made. Here's another word. Let's loop this word to read it together. Fortunate. Fortunate. Thumbs up if that sounds like a word that you know. Thumbs down if that does not sound like a real word. For me, this one's a thumbs down. I've never heard fortunate before. Let's try it again, and this time let's use the schwa sound instead of the long A sound. Fortunate. Fortunate. Thumbs up if that sounds real, thumbs down if it doesn't. I know the word fortunate. It means lucky. We had to use the schwa sound to make this a word that we know. So let's move that to the schwa column. Here's our next word. We're going to loop this word too. Locate. Locate. Thumbs up if the long A sound makes that sound like a real word. Thumbs down if it doesn't. Locate, that is a real word. When we use the long A sound, it makes the word locate, which means to find something. Isn't it so interesting how sometimes ATE patterns make the long A like late and locate, but other times we have to use the schwa to pronounce a real word. Ultimate, fortunate. We've got one more word. Let's try this one together. Considerate. Thumbs up if that sounds like a real word. Thumbs down if it doesn't. For me, that's a thumbs down. I've never heard considerate before. Let's try it again using the schwa sound. Considerate. Considerate. Thumbs up if that sounds like a real word. Thumbs down if it doesn't. Considerate is a real word. It means that you're showing that you're kind by thinking about other people. Considerate. We had to use the schwa sound to read these words. We have seen that sometimes words spelled with the exact same pattern, A-T-E, they sometimes use the schwa and sometimes they use the long A. It's so great that we know that we can use the schwa sound to make words real words. Let's read a story together so we can keep practicing these schwa sounds in our story. Last time we read a fantasy story about Panda and Polar Bear. Panda was from the forest, but Polar Bear was from the frozen tundra and was a little afraid of the forest. Let's see what happens to Panda and Polar Bear this time. As we read, we'll pay attention to see if we can read some words using schwa sounds. Here we go. The forest was Panda's habitat, so he knew it wasn't scary. Panda felt fortunate to... Oh, did you notice that? That didn't sound like a real word, did it? When I read fortunate, let's use the schwa sound. Panda felt fortunate to live in the forest, so Panda decided to invite Polar Bear. It's not too late. You can visit my forest soon, he said. Polar Bear was amazed at the invitation. Amazed. Do you think we need to try the schwa sound in this word too? We learned about that last time, didn't we? Let's try again. Polar Bear was amazed at the invitation. That is very considerate, Panda, she said, as long as you promise there are no pirates. We have seen how it is so important to be able to hear and read that schwa sound so that we can read stories that we enjoy. Until we meet again, keep listening for schwa sounds in words that you hear and in words that you read.
This program is made possible in part by the Michigan Department of Education, the State of Michigan, and the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. Additional support by viewers like you. Thank you.